Well, just I want to salute all of you, because how many of you saw the Toronto Star newspaper article that talked about how much public support is with us? 70%. That reminds us that every single thing that we do is about building support, activating support, and giving people the confidence to stand up and ask for what they want. So salute to all of you. But there's a couple of things I want to leave with you before we finish today, and that is, it's up to all of us to counter the lies that are coming from the big business lobbyists in this building right here. And let's just review some of the lies. They're saying that giving workers decent work and wages is bad for the economy, and they're literally making up numbers, hundreds of thousands of jobs that have been lost as a result of giving workers decent work and wages. That is an utter lie. We know that since Bill 148 has come into effect, over 100,000 new jobs have been created. We know that hours worked is higher than the national average. We lead across the country in hours worked and in wage increases. That is a sign of a strengthening economy, not a weakening economy. The other thing that we want to take away is that when this government the $15 minimum wage, freezing it for just 2 years, that is a total dishonest spin. What this government is doing is cutting real wages for almost 3 years. So a minimum wage that is fairly now at the poverty line is going to fall below the poverty line. And then it will be adjusted in accordance, maybe or maybe not, adjusted in accordance with changes in the economy. So that means if the cost of living is only 1%, which it has been a number of times in the last 5 years, it will take 7 additional years to get to a $15 minimum wage. And by then, a $15 minimum wage will be meaningless, because we'll be right back to where we are today, and actually we'll be right back to where we were last year, when we had a minimum wage that was 17% below the poverty line. So it's up to us to tell the truth. Yes, shame indeed. Shame, shame, shame. The other thing that we need to remind people is that this government is trying to claim that it is extending access to personal emergency leave for the first time, as if it's a new thing. That is an utter lie. This government is cutting access to emergency leave. We used to have 10 days of personal emergency leave to use as necessary. This government reduced it to 8. And if it cut the 8 days, which was modest to begin with, we were campaigning for 7, and we will continue to campaign for 7. But this government cut the 2 paid days and has reduced access to unpaid sick days. Before, we could have taken up to 10 emergency leave days in times of sickness. Now we have only access to 3. Shame indeed. This is going to make life harder for workers, especially those without unions, especially those in precarious employment, especially for parents and people who care for others, not just themselves. So that's the other thing I want to leave you with. And the last thing I want to leave you with is that we are part of an incredible movement. And you know, I want to remind everyone that the only place where Doug Ford has a majority is in that building there. But right across the province, he does not have a majority. He never had a majority when he was elected. He had less than 40% of the popular vote, and he certainly doesn't have a majority today. And that means it's up to us to keep organizing, to keep fighting, and make sure that we recognize that this is just one phase of the struggle. To call Doug Ford and make sure that he knows exactly what we're thinking, and make sure that they feel the pressure, because there are about 23 Conservative MPPs that were elected with less than 5,000 votes, and there were 8 who were elected with less than 1,000 votes. And we are committed here to organize, to mobilize, and to make sure that not a day goes by that those people are not reminded that they are screwing us over, that they are imposing hardship, and that there are real life consequences to what they're doing. This afternoon, a mother is going to talk about her child, how her child died because a parent couldn't stay home with their sick child. Her child got influenza B and died. We're going to hear from temp agency workers that this government has given a green light to unscrupulous employers to say it's fine to treat workers, to put workers in dangerous situations, to engage in wage theft and all of those things, and we know that workers die when the laws are not enforced. This is the real life consequences. So we are not going to give up, we are not going to go away, and we're going to remind this government every single day, and we're not going to wait till the next election. We're going to start that fight today and every day after. Thank you very much, sisters and brothers and everyone. It was amazing work.